My name is Sarah. I am 20 years old. I live in Nottingham with my parents and my little sister. Her name is Lena. She is 10. She calls me her hero. But the truth is, I had nothing. No job. No money. No future. Only dreams. I wanted to open my own bakery one day. A place with fresh bread and sweet cakes. A place where people smiled. A place where I could work with my hands and build something real. I used to close my eyes and see the name, Sarah's Fresh Bakes. But dreams don't pay bills. Dreams don't feed families. And dreams are never free. My dad is a car mechanic. He works all day and comes home tired. My mom cleans houses. She leaves early and comes back when it's already dark. They never complain, but I see the pain on their faces. I hear it in their silence. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how. One cold evening, I sat outside our house and looked at the stars. My hands were cold. My heart felt heavy. I whispered, "How do I change my life? How do I help my family when we barely have enough to eat?" The next day, I told my dad about my dream. I said, "Dad, I want to open a bakery one day. I want to make something for us. Something better." He didn't speak right away. Then he said, "Sarah, nothing is free in this world. If you want something, you have to fight for it. Start with what you have." His words stayed in my heart. Later that day, I noticed something in our part of town. People loved fresh bread, but the closest bakery was far away. People had to take a bus just to get it. That gave me an idea. What if I could bring the bread to them? There was a bakery across town, owned by a man named Mr. Harris. He was old. He looked serious. Some people said he was cold, but they also said his bread was the best in Nottingham. I knew I had to try. I walked 5 miles to his bakery. My feet hurt. My hands were shaking. When I arrived, Mr. Harris looked at me from behind the counter. "What do you want, girl?" he asked. I took a deep breath. "Sir, I want to sell your bread in my neighborhood. People there love bread, but they can't travel far. I want to bring it to them. I don't have money now, but if you trust me for 1 week, I will return your money. I will keep just a small part." He raised an eyebrow. "Why should I trust you?" I looked at him and said, "Because I won't stop trying. Because I'll work hard. Please, just give me one chance." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "1 week. If you don't pay me back, don't ever come here again." That was the beginning. The next morning, I woke up at 4. I walked to the bakery, picked up the bread, and carried it home. It was warm. It smelled like hope. I set up a small table near the park and called out, "Fresh bread! Still warm!" At first, people walked past me. Some looked. Some didn't. They didn't know me. They didn't trust me. So I smiled and gave small pieces for free. "Try it," I said. "Just 1 bite." A kind man stopped. Then a mother with a baby. Then a teenager. Slowly, people came. By the end of the day, I had sold every loaf. I went back to Mr. Harris and paid him. He didn't smile, but he said, "Come back tomorrow." And I did. Every day. Each morning, I walked. Each day, I sold bread. Each night, I paid him back. Slowly, I saved a little money. After 2 months, I bought a second-hand cart. It had wheels and a small roof. I didn't need to carry bread in my arms anymore. One day, a woman said, "You're good at this, but why don't you bake your own bread? You'll earn more that way." That thought stayed in my mind. Bake? I had never baked before. I didn't know how. I was afraid, but I remembered what my father said. Nothing is free. Not even learning. Not even courage. The next morning, I stood in front of Mr. Harris. I said, "Sir, can you teach me how to bake?" He stared at me. "Why should I help you? If you bake, you won't buy from me. I'll lose a customer." "You're right," I said, "but I'll never forget you gave me my first chance. If I succeed, I'll help your bakery too. I promise." He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he said, "Baking is not easy. It takes time. It takes care. If you're serious, come at 3 a.m. tomorrow." I was there at 2:50. He showed me how to mix flour and water, how to knead the dough, how to feel the texture with my fingers, how to wait, how to bake. He didn't say much. He just watched. He let me fail. And I failed. My first bread was too hard. The next was too soft. Sometimes it didn't rise. Sometimes I burned it. My hands hurt. My eyes burned. One morning I dropped everything. I sat on the floor and said, "Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm not strong enough." But then I thought of my mom. I thought of Lena. I thought of my father's voice. Nothing is free in this world. And I stood up. The next day, I worked harder. I watched everything Mr. Harris did. I listened. I practiced. Slowly, the bread changed. It started to look right. It smelled good. It felt soft and warm in my hands. One day, Mr. Harris said, "This one is good. You're ready." I smiled. I wanted to cry. I borrowed a small oven and started baking at home. My mom helped clean. Lena helped pack. She made stickers that said "Baked by Sarah." I kissed her on the forehead and said, "You're my little helper." I took my bread to the park again. People asked, "Did you make this?" I said yes. They smiled. They came back the next day, and the day after that. Soon, I was not just selling bread. I was making cookies, little cakes, small pies. People liked them. They brought friends. Some said, "Sarah's bread is the best in Nottingham." And for the first time in my life, I believed them. But success is not easy. It never is. And just when I started to feel strong, something happened that shook everything. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The days passed. My little business was growing. People came to the park just to see me. Some came early to buy before I sold out. Others just came to talk. They called me the bread girl. They said my smile made the bread taste better. I laughed. But inside, I was proud. I still had so much to learn, but I felt like I was building something real. At home, things were changing too. My dad started coming home early to help fix the cart. My mom helped me prepare ingredients. My sister Lena stood next to me every evening. She packed the bread in bags and stuck her little labels on them. She said, "One day, I'll bake with you." I kissed her head. "One day, you'll own your own shop," I said. People began asking for new things. "Do you have cakes? Do you make sweet rolls? Can you add fruit?" I wanted to say yes to everything, but I didn't know how. So I went to the library. I found books about baking. I read them slowly. The words were hard sometimes, but I kept going. I watched videos on the computer. I wrote down every step. Then I tried. I failed. Then I tried again. I made lemon cake. It was too sour. I made apple pie. It was too soft. I made cinnamon rolls. They were burnt. But I didn't stop. I woke up early. I worked until night. I cried sometimes. But I never gave up, because I knew the truth now. Nothing is free. Not success. Not respect. Not peace. You have to earn it. After many mistakes, my sweets started tasting better. My hands moved faster. My oven worked every night. My kitchen smelled like cinnamon and sugar. I could feel something growing. Not just my business, but my heart. My belief. I believed in myself more every day. Then one afternoon, something happened. A new bakery opened in our part of town. It was big and bright. The name was Eric's Delight. People gathered outside. There were colorful signs, fancy tables, pretty cakes in the window. I stood across the street and watched. My heart felt heavy. I knew this would change everything. The next day, I noticed fewer people came to my stand. Some of my regular customers didn't show up. Others said, "I tried the new bakery. It's nice inside." I smiled and said, "That's good." But I felt like crying. I went home that night and sat in silence. My hands were tired. My eyes were sore. I looked at my little oven. I looked at my bags of flour. "Am I losing?" I whispered. But I didn't want to give up. Not now. I had come too far. I had worked too hard. So instead of crying, I asked questions. I asked people, "What do you like about Eric's shop?" Some said, "It's clean." Some said, "The cakes look pretty." Some said, "The decorations are nice." No one said the bread was better. They said the place felt special. I went home and thought about that all night. I didn't have a shop. I didn't have lights or signs. But maybe I could still make my little cart feel special. I cleaned it well. I painted it blue. I added flowers. I tied little yellow ribbons to the roof. I made a sign with my name, Sarah's Fresh Bakes. I asked Lena to draw something on it. She drew a loaf of bread with a smiley face. Then I started giving free samples again. I said, "Just try one bite." I offered new things: apple tarts, raisin buns, tiny cupcakes with soft frosting. I added bright boxes and little stickers with kind words. "Thank you. Have a sweet day. Made with love." And people started coming back. One woman said, "I missed your smile." A man said, "Your bread tastes like my grandma's." Another said, "Eric's shop is nice, but your food has heart." I held those words close. Still, it wasn't easy. I worked harder than ever. I barely slept. Some nights, I didn't even eat. I used my savings to buy better ingredients. I learned how to make cakes with soft edges and creamy centers. I wrote my own recipes in a notebook. I drew pictures of what my shop would look like one day. One evening, an old woman came to my cart. Her coat was old. Her hair was gray. She bought a small loaf. Then she looked at me and said, "I've lived here a long time, my dear. I've seen many young people try. Most give up when things get hard, but not you. You stayed. That's why we trust you." Her words made my eyes fill with tears. I thanked her and watched her walk away. Then I closed my cart and stood there for a moment. I looked up at the sky. It was dark now. The stars were out. The same stars I looked at when I first whispered my dream. I felt tired, but I also felt strong. I was still here. I was still fighting, and I was ready for the next step. After many months of saving, I finally had enough money to rent a small space. It wasn't big. It was just one room with a window and an old oven. But it was mine. My name was on the door. Sarah's Fresh Bakes. I cleaned the floors. I painted the walls. My dad fixed the door. My mom helped hang shelves. Lena made paper flowers and taped them to the window. On the first day, I baked all night. I made bread, muffins, cookies, and sweet rolls. I opened the door before sunrise. My hands were shaking. I was afraid no one would come, but they did. Old customers, new faces, children with coins, teenagers with big smiles. They bought everything. They stayed to talk. They said, "It smells like home in here." My mom stood behind the counter. My dad served tea. Lena wore a little apron and helped carry bags. I looked at them and smiled. I had nothing before, just a dream. Now I had a shop. I had my family beside me. I had people who believed in me. But life doesn't stop testing you. Just when everything felt right, something terrible happened. It happened late one evening. I was cleaning the shop. My parents had gone home. Lena had already fallen asleep in the back room. The day was busy. People came and left with full hands and happy faces. My heart was full. My feet were tired. I was wiping the counter when I smelled something strange. It was sharp. It was bitter. I turned around and saw smoke near the oven. At first, I froze. Then I ran. I grabbed a bucket of water and poured it over the fire. I used a towel to stop the smoke. My hands shook. My chest hurt. The flames were small, but the damage wasn't. The oven was ruined. The wall behind it was black. My beautiful little kitchen, the one I worked so hard for, now smelled like smoke and fear. I sat on the floor and cried. The next morning, people in town heard about the fire. Some came to see the shop. Others whispered, "Will she close down now?" I stood outside with Lena beside me. My hands were black from smoke. My apron was dirty. But I raised my chin and said, "I'm not giving up. This is not the end." That night, I counted my savings. It wasn't enough. I couldn't buy a new oven. I couldn't fix the wall. I felt scared. I wanted to hide. For a moment I thought, maybe this is too much. Maybe I should stop. But then I remembered how I started. I remembered walking to Mr. Harris's bakery in the cold. I remembered selling bread in the park. I remembered every early morning, every failure, every tear. And I remembered my father's voice. Nothing is free in this world. Not your dream, not your future, not your strength. So I did what I always did. I got up. I went back to Mr. Harris. He had retired, but I knew he still lived above his old bakery. I knocked on his door. He opened it slowly. His face was older, but his eyes were still sharp. "Sarah," he said. I smiled. "I need advice," I said. "If you were me, what would you do?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, "You already know the answer. You've lived it. Work harder. Believe in yourself. People will believe in you too." I thanked him and walked home. His words gave me courage. The next day, I started baking at home again. My mom helped me clean the old kitchen. My dad found an old second-hand oven for a low price. It was small, but it worked. I posted a sign on the shop window, "Temporarily closed, but we'll be back." Then I made a promise to everyone. I said, even if I can't bake for all, I'll still bake for some. I won't let you down. People saw me trying, and something amazing happened. One neighbor gave me bags of flour. Another came with sugar. Someone offered to repaint the damaged wall. A woman I didn't know gave me 10 pounds and said, "This is all I have, but I want you to keep going." Even Lena's school teacher came to help scrub the floor. I didn't ask for help, but they came. Not because I begged, but because they believed in the girl who never gave up. And I learned something I never forgot. When you work with your whole heart, people feel it. They don't just buy your bread. They stand beside you. Week by week, the shop came back to life. We cleaned, we painted, we smiled through the dust. I baked with love and care. I tested new recipes, cupcakes, muffins, fruit-filled buns. I even tried soft chocolate cake. And people came back. More than before. Not because I had a big fancy shop, but because they saw me rise again. On the day of the grand reopening, I stood in front of the door with Lena. She held my hand. My parents stood behind us. The shop looked warm and bright. The sign was new. The shelves were full. The smell of fresh bread filled the air. People gathered outside. Neighbors, friends, even strangers. They clapped as I opened the door. Some cried. Some hugged me. Then something I didn't expect happened. The mayor of Nottingham arrived. He stepped inside. He looked around. He smiled. Then he said, "This is more than a bakery. This is a story of hope. Sarah, you've shown us what hard work looks like. You've reminded us that when someone believes in themselves, others will believe too." I was speechless. I stood there in front of everyone. My heart was full. My eyes were wet. Then I took a deep breath and said, "I want to thank all of you. This bakery started with nothing, just a dream in my heart. But now it stands because of hard work, mistakes, and the people who didn't let me fall. I've learned something. Nothing in this world is free. Not success. Not love. Not respect. You have to earn it. With sweat. With tears. With time. And when you fail, you stand up again. You try again. Because every challenge is just a step to something better. The people clapped. Some shouted my name. Lena looked up at me and whispered, "You did it, big sister." I knelt beside her. "No," I said. "We did it." From that day on, Sarah's Fresh Bakes became more than a shop. It became a place where people felt welcome, where stories were shared, where dreams had a smell of warm bread and sweet cakes. People from other towns came to visit. Some asked for advice. Some brought their daughters to meet me. They said, "We told them your story." I smiled and said, "Tell them to never give up." I still work hard every day. I still wake up before the sun. I still burn a tray now and then. But now, I know who I am. I'm the girl who started with nothing and built something with her own hands. And you can too. Whatever your dream is, don't stop. Keep going. Learn. Fail. Try again. Because nothing is free in this world, but everything is possible. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.